Going into space is a dangerous business, but practicing for going into space can also be a problem. As we learned back in 1967, ground test of the capsule that was to deliver 3 astronauts to the moon. It was a test just to see how the controls functioned on the ground. But unfortunately, as we now know, a spark caused a terrible fire inside of the capsule, and it killed 3 astronauts. Ed White, Roger Chaffee, and Gus Grissom perished in a flash fire. Now, it turned out that the atmosphere inside of that capsule was 100% oxygen. Oxygen doesn't burn, but of course it does support combustion. And there were a lot of combustible materials inside, mostly Velcro. A spark from some electrical system caused the fire. They couldn't open the latch in time, and unfortunately, the 3 astronauts perished. But from accidents, sometimes you learn things. And material science, of course, was very important in trying to explore, what had happened there. So the inside of the capsule was redesigned to make sure that, the combustible components were minimized. And of course, the question of whether or not it should be 100% oxygen atmosphere, that was also explored. The reason it was 100% oxygen in the first place was to try to minimize weight. That's kind of a complicated story. But here's something that is interesting. The bottom of the capsule, which had to withstand the tremendous temperatures on re-entry into the atmosphere, was made of several different layers of material, but fiberglass was a very, very important player. Fiberglass was also used in insulation around the capsule and insulation on the lander on the moon. What does this have to do with the problem of the fire? Well, it turns out that when they redesigned the capsule, they also had to look at the spacesuits that the astronauts had been wearing inside of that capsule, which was made of a material called Nomex that was supposed to withstand fire. Of course, it didn't do very well under those conditions. However, the redesign of the spacesuits used the same material that was protecting the capsule and the lunar lander, that is, glass fibers. So when they finally did make it to the moon, the spacesuits that the astronauts wore were a novel material made of several layers, but the outside layer was made of tightly woven glass fibers. And this was all because of the redesign that had to be initiated because of the terrible fire that took place. So, interesting story here, terrible start, of course, but something was learned from it. And the spacesuits that now are used are based on what was learned from that terrible fire.